All right, so um, welcome all today. My name is Giovanna, and we're gonna have a training session on how to use the trainer module. Yeah, it's a virtual badge software that Tracy is now adding to your daily usage. I think some of you might already be familiar with it, but for those who are not familiar yet, we're going to have a nice overview on how everything works. And then by the end of it, we're also going to have the recorded version available and also the slides that I'm using today available. So you can always refer back to them. And yeah, the idea is that this training session is quite brief. Yes. The idea is that the training session today is quite brief. It's not a complicated software. And by the end of it, we also have a brief Q&A. So if there are any questions from your side, we can address them by the end of the meeting. And yeah, in general, I think we're just looking forward to hearing from you and seeing if this is something that you're also as excited to use as we are. All right, so let's get started. Quick intro here. First, I'm just going to give you all the trainer module overview before we jump directly to the software. And then after this overview, we will switch from the presentation to the software itself. And there we're going to walk through the steps of creating a new training. All right, so just here, a quick background. The training module itself is a software, is a module that was created in order to simplify the process of collecting recipient information for the creation of certificates and badges after a training has taken place. So you're all trainers, you're all familiar with how complicated it can be to collect all the correct information. Sometimes you don't have the names of all the participants or the emails, or someone else from the client side wants to have a copy of the certificates. And the idea here is that all these many steps can be simplified with using this trainer module. So you can think of the trainer module as the tool that's now available for you to really have all the steps in just one platform. All right, so brief overview of how it works. Also, please do apologize if my voice fails and you need me to repeat something. Please do interrupt me and let me know. But here, how it works. So there are these three different types of users when it comes to the trainer module. We have, of course, the participants, right? So the people who have just taken the training, so have participated, and now they should be receiving their badges and certificates. Then we have the trainers, so that'll be you, right? The people who are there performing the trainings and are in touch with these participants. And then we have the admins, so the people on the other end who are managing all the certificates, the mandatory, and adding the mandatory fields to the forms. Good. And then here, a tiny overview of how these steps will take place as soon as you have access to your virtual badge software, your virtual badge access. So what happens before the training is that you have access to your virtual badge dashboard, and here you can create a new training at any time. So you have here in this dashboard the overview of all the different trainings that you have already performed, and you can of course also schedule trainings for the future. Right, so if you already know, for example, your weekly agenda or a monthly agenda, you can very easily already prepare the trainings that will take place in the future. It's something that you can decide yourself what works the best. So before the training, you will create this new training inside Virtual Badge. Then you're going to have this very brief overview. As soon as we go to the software, we're going to go through these steps one by one. But here you see a dashboard where you just type in the basic information about the training, such as the name, the date, how the certificate is going to be delivered. If you have any other additional fields to be filled out, you can also do it directly here. And then you only be selecting the template itself that should be sent out to the recipients after the training has taken place. So it's a very straightforward type of dashboard. You just type in the information, you select a certificate, and then you have this QR code available. So that as soon as you're done with the training and you're ready to collect information for the recipients, you just make the QR code available. They will be able to scan this QR code with their own phones. They don't have to download an app or anything that way. They'll just open their camera and scan these QR codes, and there they will have the possibility of filling out this form. what you see right now is, of course, with virtual badge branding. In your case, Tracy will be with Agile Leadership Journeys branding, as I'm going to show soon. soon. But here, the participants then themselves will be able to just fill in the information in that form and then submit their requests to their badges or certificates. Now, you trainers, again, on the other side, you're going to be receiving this information live, right? So as soon as people are requesting their badges, this list is going to be created on your end. So you're going to be seeing there the names of all the participants, and you're going to have the possibility of approving or denying them. This is actually something that, Tracy, you can even help me out here if you have already decided how to do it. There are different types of approval logic. You can say that this approval step, right, is something that necessarily needs to be done by trainings, or if this is not necessary, it's something that's also that can also be set up on the account. This is something that, yeah, I think Tracy and I are still deciding how to build this
we'd
on
like
the
to leave
account.
it least restrictive for now, and unless we see some problems, and then we can turn it on.
Good. Yeah. Good. So there might or might not be an approval process here. But the idea is then that you're already going to be able to see there all the list of recipients, and that's it. If there's no approval, then this is already the end of the process. If there is an approval, then it's just clicking one button and approving all these requests. Of course, also denying in case there's a need to deny any one of those requests. Then as soon as that's done, that's it. Back in your dashboard, you're going to have this overview of the different statuses of the requests. So this is not something that you need to manage if there's no approval, but it's nice to you to also know where are the certificates for the participants of that training that you have just performed. So you have here the overview, you know how many people have already requested, how many certificates have already been sent out, just in case you have participants that are reaching out to you asking about their certificates. So you can always reach out to this to find out what's the status. And yeah, once then approval takes place, now the normal flow will continue for the participants. They will receive access to their certificates or to their badges via email. And then from that point on, they will be able to just share this on social media, add it to their LinkedIn accounts, visit the validation page, download it, and etc. Then it's already this known process of receiving badges and proudly sharing them on their social networks. That's pretty much the overview. Now what we're going to do is switch to the software itself and just go through all these steps that I have shown before, but in the live version. So far, are there any questions from your side? No? Okay. Is the voice good? Is this understandable? Okay, perfect. All right, sweet. Then let's see this live. Let me share my screen again. One moment. All right, so what you're seeing here is the access to the virtualbadge.io software. As soon as you have your logins and your credentials and you log in to VirtualBadge, you're going to have a very similar view. And this is here then the dashboard inside the training module. So this is the same view that you had before. And of course, in your case, when you're going to be creating a new account, this is going to be blank. And you can start with a new training from scratch. So you will click on Create Training. And now here are the steps that I have displayed before. It's always first here, starting with the training details, training details, followed by then the care code, and then you have the list of recipients. Perfect. Training name. Tracy, actually you can help me out on this one as well. Is the training name already going to be fixed, or is the training name something that each trainer will be able to create on their own?
The
Probably going
trainers
to be the name. Yeah.
label these however it aligns with the way that you're tracking your trainings. You can label it as you see fit. We'll know what trainings you're doing based on whether it's agility and leadership or agility and org, but you can name this to align with your training tracking.
Perfect. Yeah, so you're going to have there the name of the training, then you're going to give the training date. So let's say here it's taking place today. Also, training selection, this is already going to be you by default. Tracy and Jenna, if you have in the future some administrative person that's creating trainings on behalf of other trainers, Then this administrative person will be able to use here that drop-down menu and select, right, the correct trainer that's responsible for the training. Otherwise, if you're just like normally creating a training for yourself, you don't have to see, and you will not be able to see this. Then we go to the delivery type. This is quite interesting. The
Can I
default,
just back up for 1 second, Giovanna,
yes,
on that?
yes.
So for some of our organizations, I know Vanessa, you're on here, although I can't see you on the screen, but I know you're here. But for flow days, for example, you're going to have an administrative user. So the administrative user is going to show up as the trainer selection, and in another place will show you where the trainer names would actually be added for the certificates.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so then we have the certificate delivery type. This refers to who should receive the certificates. So by default, this very traditional usage of the software has always the certificates being delivered to the recipient themselves. This is also normally how people want to receive the certificates, just via email as soon as the approval process has taken place. But there are always cases that maybe a client from your side wants to have a copy of those certificates, or maybe you yourself want to also keep a copy of those certificates. Maybe want to print them out and deliver them manually to the people who participated. In those cases, you can choose here different delivery types. Right, sent to trainer means that you will get a zip file with a copy of every certificate that was distributed within that training, and sent to custom email addresses that means that someone from the email address that you add here will receive a copy of the certificates from that training. Otherwise, you can just leave the default option here, which is the classic sending the certificates directly to the participants. All right, then you have here, there's just one field that needs to be filled out, which is the client name or public. And this is also a custom field from your account. I think, Tracy, do you have any specific notes on this field?
So this is also to help us align. Okay, so as you all check out through our store for the items that you're paying for, this should align with what you're putting in that for per use licensing fees. But basically, this is the name of your client, or if it's a public workshop, public workshop.
All right. Then following that, the only thing that you got to choose here is which certificate is going to be available for your participants. Now, the drop-down menu should already have, as soon as you have your virtual badge account, should already have all the different certificates for the courses that you offer, for the trainings that you offer. But if it does happen that you're missing a certificate, you can also just reach out directly to Tracy, and then or to Diana or to anyone from the administrative side to get the missing templates. But here in the drop-down, you'll be able to see all the templates available to you. And then you will select one of the templates here, and then you can choose. Oh, in this one we have a badge and a certificate. You can choose. Also, Tracy, a question here: is it are both certificates and badges going to be sent out at all times, or is it going to be just a badge or just a certificate per training?
We'll give some guidance on some of these,
We'll get some.
but for the most part, you all know your audiences. So for the workshops, do they want badges? Do they want certificates? Do they want both? That's up to you. When we get into the applied agility courses, it gets to be a lot of badges and certificates. So we're going to make some recommendations on how everybody handles that. But you know your folks. So what do they want? And so you can add, yes, as Giovanna's showing.
Yes. See,
if you want them to get a certificate and a badge.
Then you can just select both of them here. I see now that's a bit confusing because of the same name. That's a note for us, Tracy. Yeah, we'll change this so that we have a clear view of what is a badge and what is a certificate, and then
so we add good note here because we added it to the end, so it says certificate or badge. So, but you can't see it in the first line. So that's Jana, we might want to flip that around.
Yeah, but then the idea here is that you can just choose here what template you're issuing. In this case, we're doing an example with an applied agility leadership course with just two certificates. And then here we have this predefined recipient information. So this is the part that needs to be filled by either you or the participants. Now you see in these examples, there are just two types of information that need to be filled by either one of these two sides. The first one is a field that is a privacy field, right? So this needs to be filled by the participants themselves. So you should not click here. You should not enable, should not predefine it. But the name of the training is the field that should be filled from your end. This is how your name is going to be added to the template of that to the certificate template. So you always enable it here, and then you're just gonna enter the name that should be displayed. So for example, if I'll be the trainer on that, if I'll be
And
the
this is
trainer.
really important for especially folks who are co-training. This is, this is where each of you would put your names, but also if you're co-training, sometimes that changes on a per training basis. And we have modified the templates now to allow for multiple names where it was a little bit more restrictive character length previously. Well, for Flow Days folks, you can get all 4 of your people on there now instead of just the 2.
Perfect. All right, so you come here, predefine here the name of the training, add yourself and any other training that's co-hosting the training with you. And then once you click on save, that's it. You have defined, in this case here, just the information for one of the fields. Then you can save it. Oh, sorry, you said public here was a public training. Well, then as soon as you have all the information filled, you can save this training. And now you can go to the second step where the QR code is available. This QR code is now, how you display the QR code is also something that's up to you. If you want to make the QR code, if you want to prepare the training before the actual in-person training takes place, you're also going to have access to this QR code beforehand. So you can very easily download this on your site, maybe add it to some slides that you might use. Or what you can do is just open your Virtualbadge account and go here to presentation mode. If you go to presentation mode, then they can scan the QR codes with their mobiles directly from this view, or they can click here and go to the form. So you can also, if you have a training that's maybe taking place in a Zoom meeting, or if you have online participants that cannot make it to the training in person, you can also share with them the link to the form. And yeah, as soon as the QR code then is scanned or the link to the form is opened, the participants will have the view here to this form that we have just displayed before. So they will type in their names, they will type in their emails, and they will go ahead with the security privacy policy consents and submit their request. Now, as soon as that is done, the participants and you as the trainers will have the list of everyone who have requested their certificates and badges directly here. And in this case, as Tracy mentioned, there's no necessary approval step for the time being. So you're just going to have the overview. In this case, there were 2 different elements that got sent out. One is a badge, one is a certificate. So that's why the name here is there twice for the participants, and there are no other actions needed from your side. The status is already sent. There's no need here to approve. The approval button's even grayed out. And yeah, that's it. Then you have.
Yeah, I'd like to just insert in here. So as you can see from the one QR code, they got both the certificate and the badge that were selected when you set up the training. So this is different than the QR codes, the static QR codes that we had issued last year to all of the trainers. And I think this connects into Vanessa's question in the chat also. So those QR codes are going to go away. Now you'll each be able to manage on a per training basis the QR codes and what specifically you want your recipients to get from that training. And you can clone those, you can duplicate those trainings so that you're not reinventing the wheel every time. But it's a different QR code than what you had. So just want to differentiate that. Make sense, Vanessa?
All right.
Okay.
Perfect. And that's it already. So there are very little steps here needed on the process of creating a training and making this QR code available. From the overview tab, as Tracy just mentioned, you can duplicate the trainings. So if you have some repetitive information going on, you can also save some clicks by just coming directly here and duplicating it. And if you'd have decided to, if you would have chosen here the option to send the certificates to you as a trainer or to a third-party person, it's important to end the training, right? So that the approval, the recipients that have been approved, those certificates will be sent out to you in a zip file once you have ended the training. If you don't have selected any of these two options, then there's no need to end it. It makes no difference for the process of for the recipient process. All right, and then that's it. That's the process of creating and managing the QR codes for your trainings. So the idea is that with just a few clicks, the participants here will be able to request their certificates for after the training. They will be able to type in their own information. They're responsible for spelling errors with their names, so it's now on their hands. Here, always important to remind people that what they're typing in that form is actually what's going to be displayed on the certificates and badges that they're receiving, just so they're more aware of typos and that type of information. But yeah, then they get access to their certificates and the process gets automated. Are there any questions now? We can open the final part of the presentation here for the questions.
Nothing.
So
One thing.
simple. Yes.
One thing I'll share too that we made an adjustment to. Some of you have requested to be able to issue a combined agility and leadership and agility in org certificate because you're routinely doing those things together. So we have created that so that you can create a training, use the combined certificate, and then give them the individual badges for AIL or AIO if you want to do that. So those will be one of the collections of badges and certificates that you can select from.
All right. So if there are no questions, I assume that this is a good sign that we have a very simple process. The software is quite easy to use. And yeah, and then I think everyone's comfortable with it.
Maybe I do have one question.
Yes.
I've used these systems in the past. I'm very good at doing them after I've done the course already. What do you do when you run the course already? Do you does it accept historical dates as well?
Yes. So if that does
Okay.
happen and for any reason you cannot make the QR code available or it just doesn't fit your process, you can also just upload the CSV file with the names of the recipients after the training has taken place.
Okay.
I can show you how that is done. Just a second. I'm back here just sharing my screen. And now if you go to that tab called recipients, here you do have the option of uploading the CSV files. This also means, of course, that you're the person responsible for collecting the names and the emails of all the recipients. So if you don't have that information, it's definitely the best to display the QR code and allow the recipients to request it themselves. Yeah, and of course you still have the link, right, to the form available within the training. So you could also just make the link available for the participants to fill in and request their certificates later on.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Jana, anything else that we've talked about that we haven't mentioned that would be relevant for folks? I'm trying to.
So what we'll do is we'll follow up and we'll also have a written document and we'll put some notes like when you select the drop down of what badge or certificate, EI or EN actually means English. So we'll have tips like that and all sorts of things to make it easier.
So we do have, right now we have badges in English, Portuguese, German, and Italian.
Tracy, just one last question on the signature. I remember in the old ways we used to have a digital image, we used to embed and all of that. And so is there a signature at all in this format or?
There's no signature. It's digitally verified. And we didn't show that, Giovanna, but maybe we can show how people can verify on our website for the virtual badge. But this trainer's name is printed on the certificate, but there isn't a signature.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that with this, when they go to LinkedIn, for example, they should be able to add it as a digitally verified badge automatically, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I will show you how that looks. That's a very, very good point. Let me share my screen here again. So I have opened here the email that I have just received as a recipient. So this is the email there from Agile Leadership Journey saying your certificate is now completed. I also received a separate email for my badge, and I already went ahead and clicked on Get Certificate. So as soon as the recipients would do that, they're redirected to this page. And here is, what, as you mentioned, the option to add the certificate to LinkedIn. If they would click there, they would be redirected to their LinkedIn accounts. I'm going to do that in a sec. But just before we do that, note here that the name of the trainer is displayed directly on the certificate. So the field that you predefined on that first step on the basic details is then added here. I have actually added the same name, Giovanna Tess, for both the participant and for the trainer. Could have done that better, but here would of course be just the name of the trainer, and here's the name of the participant.
Yep.
All right, so if they would decide then to add this certificate to their LinkedIn accounts, they will click on that button, and then they're automatically redirected to LinkedIn with all this information pre-filled for their certificate. So the name of the course is already there. Agile Leadership Journey is already there as the issuing organization of that certificate, and all the validation information is there. So I think this is the part that you were concerned with, right? The validation, the validation part of it. So let me show you. They would then just click on Save. And now anyone who'd visit my LinkedIn profile, they will be able to scroll down all the way to licenses and certifications. And now they have the view here of the certificate that I just received, and they can still verify it. Right, so they can click on Show Credential, and now they're redirected to the validation page of that certificate. So this is the validation page. It's the same one that was also in use before. Inside the website of Agile Leadership Journey. So here they'll be able to see the certificate or the badge that they have just received. The same page can also be accessed by scanning the QR codes on the certificates themselves, right? So if someone would decide to print out the certificate, or if you would have chosen the option to send yourself the zip files to print it out and then distribute them manually, then scanning here the QR code of the printed version also leads to the verification page of that certificate.
Yep.
Does this answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Okay. Are there any other questions? All right. Tracy, do you have anything else from your side or any other part of the process that you think might be relevant to show today?
No, I just know that we're here to support you as we make this transition. We're going to be rolling it out sort of slowly to the folks who are actively delivering trainings right now. And so it'll be bit by bit, and reach out to us with questions. And just want to say, Giovanna, thank you so much. I feel like we should send you some virtual tea and honey. But thank you.
All right. Then I think we're also perfectly in time. So really, really great. Then yeah, it was great meeting all of you. And I will, as I promised, send you Tracy the recorded version and the slides. Then you can decide if you want to distribute it internally. And yeah, then have a great day or afternoon, I guess.
Thank you so much. Yes, we have everybody from all over the globe today. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.